Hello! So today we are going to be critiquing some art pieces that have been submitted to me by request. I don't know. Most of them are from my friends, but I did get one person on Discord, just one random person that I didn't know to submit. This is their artwork, so I'm gonna start with them first. Okay, so let's unlock this layer. I'll copy this so then we can compare this after I do all the edits. So the first thing you want to keep in mind, I like the pose is nice and dynamic. First things first, let me find a reference because reference is really important, especially in poses that you don't know very well. If you know this pose, you may not necessarily need a reference, but sometimes even if you think you know it, you may need a reference. So, okay, I have found my reference. Looking at our reference, you can see that the feet are bigger than the head, which they have, which is good. Perspective can make features wonky. Usually the feet are not bigger than the head. I just wanted to explain that because of perspective, the feet look bigger than the head. So, first thing I noticed when I looked at this piece is that the head shape is kind of cone-shaped. So I'm going to use Liquify to fix this, but you can generally just fix this with your sketching pattern. And it can depend on how you want to draw your figures. Having a little bit more of a round shape of the skull. Hi, Editing Alyssa here. I just want to clarify. I did not record this properly, so you cannot see the Liquify window. I promise, I'm doing something here. It's just you can't see it because Liquify is not showing on my OBS recording screen. Make this a bit more pleasing to look at. Another thing we can go in is help move this sleeve just a touch bit down so that it follows the curve of the arm a bit more. There we go. Already, we're looking a touch bit more proportional. Okay, and another thing I noticed with your drawing is that the person their hips look a bit disconnected from the rest of your drawing. So I'm going to take the top part of their torso and scooch them over a touch bit. I'm trying to keep to your style. Like, I don't want to overly change how you draw. I just want to make sure that things are proportional so that it reads better. Have the shirt dip down. And then I am going to have the shirt in the back peek out. Give a bit more dimensionality to your character. Don't worry, I'll add the line art later. Essentially what I am doing is I am making sure you can see part of the leg in the butt and making it look as if the character is slumping over. The leg extend down a bit more. Now, fun thing about knees is when you bend the knee, it will usually go in front of the thigh. So if you want to have stuff will usually be pushed up. You will want to push back the clothing so that it sits behind the knee. It will help make your character look more three-dimensional and less flat. You are drawing a 2D character, but things tend to look better when you give the illusion of shape. That is what pushing this will behind the knee will do for you. A lot of what can be improved is just making sure the lines of the clothing follow the body. It will make things more believable. Not more realistic, just more believable. When stylizing, it is important to know how the body works so that when you break the proportions, you break it in a believable manner. Right here, I'm extending the lower body, the butt, so that it looks as if he is actually sitting down. So another thing, you can have messy shading, but make sure it follows the body so that things make sense. Things that look messy because you rushed them instead of messy because you purposely chose them, people will be able to tell the difference. And not that messy is a bad thing. I can work messy sometimes. You just want to make sure that where you're messy is deliberate. You also want to pay attention to where shadows are actually located. If you just add shadows willy-nilly, the light source will be confusing and you won't know exactly where the character is located, what the time is. Even if you're doing just a character portrait, you want to make sure that you know where your light source is. I'm extending the knee up a bit, cleaning up the line art. Here I'm cleaning up the areas of which I added elements, cleaning up lines that don't need to be there, changing the arm, adding line art, and bringing things down, adding some extra emphasis lines. And here I am now going to extend the calf because having elements that overlap with each other help give it more of a 3D look and help it become more dynamic. The last element I want to change around here is where the elbow and hand are located. I push down the elbow and I move the hand to sit and rest more on top of the knee rather than in front of it. That way the hand and the knee were no longer interfering with each other. I also added another finger to give the hand a little bit more dimensionality. Alright, now we can compare. This was before and after. Now I could continue editing this forever, but my biggest tips for you would be find references of people sitting so you can have a better idea of how the body sits, and then make sure you pay attention to how the skull is shaped and how clothing fits on a person's body. You want to make sure that the lines follow the so-called curve of the 2D figure. Okay, so the next piece I have is a submission from my friend. So my friend was struggling with the levels of this piece and having the contrast bring your eye to how the people are sitting. So what I'm going to do, don't worry, is I'm going to put a color saturation tool so you can see the levels of the piece. And if you zoom back a bit, you can find that things are nominally pretty dark. Even in the area where you would think things would be the lightest, it's quite dark. So what we are going to do is I'm going to select the background, block out the fence posts because I don't need a light layer over top of them. So now I will reverse, invert, so that those won't be selected when I use a overlay layer. Grab a nice soft brush and set that to overlay. I'm gonna lower the flow on this so that it doesn't. Since the foreground is very dark, you want to have the background to be lighter. And already, the scene just got a lot more dynamic. Just with a little bit of light added in. I can smooth over the hard edges of this. I'm going to push the lights so that we can appreciate the darks. Having a good balance in between how light something is versus how dark something is will help your piece be a lot more engaging. Like, this was a very nice composition overall. It just needed just a little bit more light to make it more engaging to look at. I'm going to change the color slightly away from the fence post color because it makes it hard to see the fence post itself, which then muddies the elements together, which is not what you want it's not what you want. Okay, so change the colors of that slightly, not too much. They're working in a color scheme here. And then we'll make it a touch bit lighter. Not too much, just a little bit. Okay. Another thing is that this character right here is getting lost. So while we want a realistic lighting situation, I don't want them losing themselves. So I'm gonna lighten this area right here so that the character isn't getting lost in their own shadows. It mostly just needed some contrast to it, is all. You did it very well. They did a very good job of making... Mutai! Sorry. The cat likes to climb the couch instead of jumping up like a normal cat, and it's a cloth couch. We don't necessarily want him doing that. Whee! Contrast, my beloved. Give me the contrast. Then we'll soften this up. The trick to having good lighting is making sure that any stuff that you are making has both hard and soft shadows. Like the golden glow, but it might be muddying things together. So what if I change coloring of it a bit? Yeah. There we go. And just so their face isn't blending in so much, I'm going to add the tiniest, just a little bit brighter, just a little bit. So ultimately, the only thing I really changed with this piece was how the lighting levels were. It is amazing how much a piece can change by just changing the light. Here's the before, and then here's the after. I did not change anything else. It's just the lighting. The composition was fine. Maybe there was a couple other things that you could change with the positioning of the characters, but to get a piece that you're super happy with, just make sure that your lighting levels. Do not underestimate just check your levels. It's easy enough. Just put a layer over top to make your picture black and white, and then go from there. You'd be amazed on how much your piece can change just by doing that. I'm gonna leave it off here. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope everything was helpful and made sense. If things didn't make sense, feel free to ask a question in the comments, and I'll be sure to answer them. And if you want to have your piece critiqued by me, make sure to join my Discord, because I will ask for requests over there, and you might be able to get your piece critiqued by me. Alright. Have a good rest of your day. Bye!